All right, lads, welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball. How are you going, Shane? What's the crack?
Can't really complain, to be perfectly honest with you. Grand all weekend, grand and quiet. Limerick won in the hurling, which is good, and Liverpool lost, but it didn't really matter. They were still clearly
Mm.
very, very hungover, but the league is won anyway. So what
Yeah,
else can you do, really?
it was a good enough win for Limerick. I didn't see it because I was at the Leinster match, which was
Yeah,
uh, it was some game, but like it's hard when you come out losing in a game like that, and it's just like the fact of never getting over the hump. I was really annoyed for like a few hours after it, but then it's happened so many times in the last few years. It's like, oh yeah, you kind of get used to it. But they didn't deserve to win, really, in the grand scheme of things. But what went on in the last like minute or two was just a farce. Like I'm sure it was bad on TV, but in the stands we were like, what is going on? Like they were looking at it so many times, and we were just none the wiser by the end.
yeah,
So it's kind of afterwards, then you have to look at it, which you don't want to be doing. It's like VAR at a match. Like you don't want to be
yeah,
seeing that. Like you don't really know what's going on exactly.
yeah. There's another thing, like I never get my head around not taking the 3 points when you're 3 points down with
Yeah,
less than a couple of minutes to go. Just get to extra time. If Leinster get that to extra time, then they do probably win it
yeah,
because they probably have better fitness than that Northampton Saints team overall. But turning
yeah.
down to 3 points to go for seven in a European semi-final is just it's baffling.
It's
It's nonsense.
ridiculous.
Like
And
really is
they're like
nonsense.
they were making bad decisions all game, and I said to my father then like take the three, and then they had another chance after that to take the three, and they didn't. So yeah, frustrating. But anyway, topic we wanted to touch on that's kind of prevalent in the media at the minute is the issue of um, in a camogie game. Basically, I'm sure you'll know about it that the referee demanded that the players wear skirts instead of shorts, and we just wanted to touch on that. Shane, I'll let you go ahead.
I just think it's so we're in 2025 now, and they're still being forced to wear something they don't want to wear. And clearly, like with the upper over it over the past week as well, it's clearly an issue that's been going on for a while. And it's just it came to the fore last weekend with Kilkenny and Dublin. And why did the GAA get to make a decision like that over what they're wearing to play their matches? It makes
Yeah,
absolute maybe no, maybe it's not I think it's the LGPA maybe actually, but
yeah,
even still, like the fact that they were going to postpone the match because they wanted to wear shorts over skirts, or he threatened to book all 30 players before the game started. It's just complete and utter nonsense. And I'm glad someone has made a stand this weekend. I think it's Kerry and Waterford are playing this weekend. And they just put out a joint statement there saying that they're wearing shorts and that's the end of it. And hopefully this is the end of that matter. It's like something like this should never be happening. Like
yeah,
they're the ones playing the game. The referee gets to wear shorts. They don't make their free wear score, like so why should
yeah,
they have to be forced to wear something that a lot of them say they're uncomfortable, they're not fit for purpose anymore. They were probably never fit for purpose, but
yeah,
no one kind of was willing to stand up for it before until last weekend. But I don't know,
yeah,
I think it's utterly ridiculous that they're still being forced into these situations.
yeah. I think it's everything you said. I agree with. Like, I couldn't believe it to be honest when I saw it. Like that something like that can happen at like an inter-county level. It shouldn't happen on any level, but at that level where people will find out about it so quickly that the referee is that blatantly basically sticking to some rule that's completely outdated to try and wield his
Mm,
own power. I don't want to say anything personal about that referee because I don't know any of his views, but it seems to me like that's completely out of order. The level he was trying to push it and the rule in general is ridiculous. So yeah, it needs to be binned. People should be allowed to wear like what's comfortable for them in the game.
yeah,
And it's like sometimes when you see a keeper in a hurling match wearing like a quarter zip in the
and a
goal or
track
whatever.
sequence.
Yeah, and then like there's no referee threatening to book them. So why is it different for the female game? Yeah, it's not acceptable really, but that's just an issue that yeah we both probably want to say a little bit on.
Yeah, and just
Although
one other thing on this, like they're always saying about how they're trying to grow the game, trying to grow camogie as a sport. And then they're getting going ridiculous over these trivial things then over, oh, they're wearing skirts, not shirts. Sorry, not shorts. Like it's just if you want to grow it, then let people wear what's comfortable. Like it just if you can't be sending people in under 11s, under 12 and say, oh, you have to wear this ridiculous looking thing with shorts under a skirt top. It's like, why?
yeah,
Like, just no, just I wanted
no,
to
it's
bring it up
just
because I just think it's utterly ridiculous that That's the kind of level that we're still dealing with in terms of the GAA in 2025.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't get my head
and
around it.
it's really it's just strange that it happens at that. Like, cause like my sister plays at younger level, like under 12s or stuff like that, and that is never said or like never enforced. So I don't know like exactly what the rules around it are, but how he could feel comfortable like saying that on that kind of a level is just crazy. But anyway, we'll move into our usual run of things, and just wanted to get that out there. Yeah, so we changed up our recording schedule. Hopefully, this will help you guys with the listening as well, and it'll be maybe a bit more enjoyable. So we're recording now on a Thursday. This will be coming out Friday morning as usual. So we're just recording the day before you'll be listening. So you'll basically have everything up to date in the action with nearly everything across the board, apart from a couple of Thursday night games in the
Mm.
NBA and soccer. But we've moved that around. So we'll start with the NBA first. We're going to go through each of the conference semifinals, and they have been wild to start, like absolutely wild. I was thinking we'd start with the Knicks and Celtics. What do you think?
I think it's the best one to start with, to be honest, because what a series that has been so far.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
let you take the lead.
Right, lads, this is just like a little post note here. My headphones died at that point, right after when we were recording, and I did change my headphones to a different pair. Now, everything I said was recorded, not a bother, but for some reason it wasn't synced up with my video, so if you're watching on YouTube, it'll look like my mouth is moving a little bit before I start talking, and if you're listening, sometimes it sounds like me and Shane are like cutting across each other a little bit. We weren't. We could hear each other in real time. For some reason, just the change of the headphones mixed up the audio, so please bear with that. You'll still get all of our points, and it doesn't affect it too much. But yeah, in case you're wondering, hopefully this is something that we will not come across again. But just wanted to throw that out there. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
and that one, yeah, I actually can't believe how good the Knicks have been to start this off. Jalen Brunson has come up clutch in back-to-back games, but at the same time, how are the Celtics thrown away two massive leads in back-to-back games in
Yeah,
such a key stage of the season? Like I backed them to win it out again, and with the way they're going now, I like ooh,
yeah,
like they'll do well to win four of the next six games if they get past this Knicks team because even when the Knicks are down and they look buried, they just keep coming back and the trees seem to have dried up a bit for the Celtics and they're not getting enough points in the paint. Like if they don't sort their issues out quickly, they're
yeah,
going to be in serious bother
yeah.
because I
Like
can see this going 3
the
nil
thing is that
very, very quickly on
like
them.
the Celtics won or lost both games, and the Knicks didn't even play overly well for the majority of those games. Like being down 20 in both, and there may come a game three now where the Knicks play like to the absolute best of their abilities, and then it's 3-0, and then you're in big trouble. Like, I just don't understand what Jason Tatum is doing at all, to be honest. Like, it ties in with what you kind of just said about they're not taking their opportunities in the paint and they're shooting badly from three. And he's kind of the main culprit for that in both of the last games, to be honest, because he, like, there's a mismatch like
Yeah,
where he has Jalen Brunson in the paint and he won't drive at him. Like he's doing some kind of Kobe baseline turnaround jumper, like absolute crazy stuff that he was doing years ago that we thought was weaned out of his game. And now all of a sudden things are going a bit awry. They're throwing away 20-point leads, and he's all of a sudden just like, bringing this whole whatever this is back into his game again, which makes no sense at all to me. I don't know what.
it yeah
Yeah,
it's like he's just completely forgotten who he was. Just all of a sudden, it's like he's after getting that magic thing in the
oh
black
yeah,
in the
yeah,
Men in Black, where they just flash in once they're right and they forget everything. That's what after happened to Jason Tatum. And
yeah.
the killer is that they're after losing their two home games as well. They
Which
have
is
to go
going to
to
be
New
tough.
York now for the next two games. And with that home crowd and yeah, we've been watching the videos of the Knicks fans outside the stadium and they're
Yeah,
absolutely wild. Like they're actually off their heads. Bring them back to New York and
yeah.
we'll
I
see how it
think
goes. I
missing.
think the
So in
Celtics are
game
in
two
big
they
trouble
missed
here.
30 threes, and in game one they missed 45 threes. Not taken, 45 missed. Like that is insane.
Jesus.
And looking at Jalen Brown
Yeah.
in the first game, I don't know what really was going on with him there. He looked bit all over the place. Yeah, and then first half
lately.
yesterday he looked a lot better, but
Yeah,
then he looked to drop off again. And Kristaps is looking quite injured. I don't know. This illness thing doesn't make much sense to me. But looking at Mikhail Bridges on the other side, he's just been immense. Like we were saying, like his effort on defense just hasn't been there, and some of the things he's doing on offense just don't make sense. And then the last two games, he's the one who comes up with the clutch stop at the end to win it. After being clutch in the fourth quarter yesterday as well, like scoring I think
yeah.
14 in the fourth quarter. It's just like yeah, he really turned it on, and he's really one of the players who's ignited this team. I think to come back. First time that a team has come back from 20 points twice in the same series in the NBA playoffs. So
That's mad. Another thing about him is that, like, while no one is scoring massive, like, they don't have,
yeah,
I know in the first game they had Brunson shoot 40, but last night, like, there was only two players over 20. Like,
I think he was
Brunson was 17,
29 in game
Mikael
one,
Bridges
Brunson.
14,
So
but
like
it's their bench
he
are
was,
kind of,
yeah, he had a good game, but it's not.
yeah, yeah.
He hasn't been shooting the lights out either.
It's, no, absolutely not. But then it's how deep their bench is as well. Their bench is coming on and making such a difference to you. And we're going to come on to OKC in a few minutes as well. And that their bench is doing the same thing. It's how deep the benches are is what's making a massive difference in all these series. And like that's why I think like that's why
Yeah,
well that's why I thought at start that the Celtics would have enough. But their bench, as you said, like Porzingis is a bit kind of very off the pace, not a bit off the pace, and then like Cornet, sorry, is adding nothing either off the bench, and they're all over the place. And I don't know if it's the first series took a lot out of them or
yeah.
what's going on because
I
they all
really
seem to have
don't
forgotten
know.
what they were
Doesn't
doing
make
so
any
well.
sense to me because Tatum looked completely different against the Magic as opposed to now. Like in the closeout game versus the Magic, he had 35 points, 4 of 5 from three, 10 of 16 from the field, like nearly a triple double, and then he just goes to this whatever this is. But I still think the Celtics are going to win in seven, even though they're 2-0 down. Yeah, I think the way they played in those
Do
two
you?
games, I thought they would come out in the second game and change things, and I was wrong. But I don't think they do this again. I think they catch the Knicks cold, and I think they take both games in New York, and we're back in 2-2. I don't know why. I just think that this can't continue. And everything I saw during the regular season and from both the Knicks and the
Yeah.
Celtics points towards what we're seeing right now not being sustainable. But what do you think it's going to end with? Oh,
I was going to go Knicks in six, to be honest. Now, I think game three is, so I think
yeah,
game three is the biggest game of the series. No matter how far it goes, if the Celtics get it back to 2-1 in New York, different ball game. If it goes 3-0, then they only have to win one of four. Then I think the Celtics are in trouble because you won't
yeah,
hold that next team winless in four. Well, I think your seven. I think your 7 game shout isn't bad because it could very easily go 2-2, and then
yeah,
the Knicks win the next one, go 3-2 up, and then the Celtics go back to back. But I don't know. I just think if the Knicks can go the way they're going now, Joe, the fact you're going down by 20, as you
yeah.
said, like that can't continue where you go down by 20 and win. So you never know. They are going to have to tighten up defensively, but I think I'm backing them now
Yeah,
to get through, not to win
fair
it
enough.
out, just to get them, just
So
for
I
them to
think
get through this series.
we'll move on then to Pacers and Cavs. That's another one that's a big shock. So Pacers are 2-0 up right now. Just Tyrese Halliburton, unbelievable. Like he's doing absolutely everything. Like in the last game, yeah, he only had 19
Mm.
points, but if you watch how he played, like how hard he was working on the defensive end, how hard he was working to supply his teammates with the ball when needed, and then that dagger to win it, like the step back, he looks the way his jump shot is, it just doesn't look like when Steph or whoever hits one of these daggers or Donovan Mitchell or whatever, it just looks a bit off, but he does
Yeah,
it so well. And the way that they've won these two games is absolutely amazing. Like that comeback, 7 points down in the last minute, the second time they've done that in this playoffs, and it's only been done one other time in the last, I think,
yeah,
like 25 years or more. So it's really really special. But
yeah.
on the other hand, I think the Cavs were brilliant in the last game, considering they had no Garland or Mobley or DeAndre Hunter, and I think if Mobley and Hunter come back, they could make a stretch out of this, and it could be tight. But if Garland comes back, things will definitely change. I think that's one that he's massive and they need him back.
Yeah, yeah. It's another team where it goes to show that their bench is strong. It's clearly strong. But when they have their
Yeah,
starters back and they have the lads coming on off the bench that started, then they will be a completely different proposition. I wasn't too hot on Cavs in the regular season. I think I've said it a couple of times here now, but I'm still backing them to get through this over the Pacers. Again, coming back from 7 points down the last minute, it's another thing it's just not sustainable. And these teams they're staging these ridiculous comebacks, they always get cockhold in the end. It always comes back to bite you. Like when Donovan Mitchell scoring 48 last night, like when he has Mobley back to help him. So it is, as you said, it's going to be a completely different ballgame then when he has another reliable scorer. I
mm,
know Strux
yeah,
got 23 in 39 minutes, solid as well, but like he's nothing special.
yeah,
Like they need their
and
special lads back, and they need them back pretty
yeah, and the
pronto because
3 point
it's
shooting
another one where
from
game three is huge.
Mitchell, like his actual scoring in the mid range and around the rim and stuff has been great. Like 33 points in game one, 48 in game two. But then you're looking at like 1 of 7 from three
Mm,
and 1 of 11 from three. Like it's really not good enough from there. You can't do everything thing. But he's taking 30 shots a game,
yeah,
and that's the type of thing that he was doing back with the Jazz or back with Cleveland when they said like this is never going to work to win a championship. So they need Garland back to kind of
yeah,
shoulder that load with him. And yeah, Mobley is important, and obviously Hunter then from the bench unit too. Like even you're missing one of your main bench guys, which is difficult. So I think the injuries have really played a big part in that one. I think it would be a different story if we had the full complement of the
yeah,
Cavs team. Having said that, I think the Pacers have been really impressive. Nembhard has been brilliant. Him and Halliburton playing as in their two guard positions have just been they just work so well together. And he always knows where Nembhard is, which is a testament to
yeah,
Halliburton as well, because none of these guys are like superstars like around Halliburton. Like they're all solid role players, but he elevates their game with the way he plays. So I think that's pretty good in
yeah,
general with everybody looking at him and how recently he got voted most overrated player in the NBA. I think that's ridiculous because he's that's just people hating on him because he's
yeah,
just an excellent player and he's proven it here. I'm going with the Pacers in seven. I just think when they have this
yeah,
lead, um, I think even getting the Cavs getting their guys back, the Pacers are too good of an actual team to let this 2 game lead slip. I think they'll take one of the games in Indiana regardless of who comes back for the Cavs, and I just think they'll get it over the line eventually. Now I know that would be going on the road to win, so maybe in six is more realistic, but yeah, I think they're going to win in 6 or 7. I think they're
yeah.
not going to let this lead slip. What do you think?
I'm going for the Pacers to get through this as well now. As you said,
Yeah,
the 2-0 lead is too big to let them slip. I think game three again, and I'll probably
yeah,
say this the whole way through, but game three, it's another massive game three. I know that sounds ridiculous to say, but the difference in that series between 2-1 and 3-0
yeah,
is it's game over or game on. And yeah, I just see, as you said, even if the Cavs get their lads back now, it's a massive deficit to try and overturn against they're a good unit. As you said,
yeah.
there's no real superstars, but they're a really solid unit. And yeah, I
Yeah,
don't see
I'm
the Cavs being
missing
able to
their
pull
boat.
this out of the
So
bag.
then we'll move on to the other game that has a series that has 2 games played, and that's Thunder and Nuggets. So we're sitting at 1-1 right now. What do you make of this so far?
I can't believe how coherent the Nuggets are.
Yeah.
Now I know they were absolutely dogged all over the place last night. In game one, they were so good. Jokic was back on his nonsense again with his 62 points. But the way the Thunder threw them around the
Yeah,
place last night makes me think this is going 4-1. I can't see the Nuggets being able to keep up with them at all. The Thunder's bench, it's just so deep. The amount of lads they bring on,
yeah,
and they're drowning points like it's fun. So like 148 points scored, and I think they had eight. So they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
yeah.
They had
And they
13
only
players that
entered
scored
their bench in
points
the
last night.
fourth. Like they had
Like
plenty
I
of
don't think
rotation guys early.
I don't think there's a single other team that have that. Yeah, they have like we did like Usman Yang got 2 points, Dylan Jones got 4 points, and I know it's kind of it's garbage time points, but it's still the fact that you have so many
in the
lads capable of
conference
coming on and
semifinals. Like,
like it's just seeing out a ridiculously big blowouts. Yeah, exactly. Like it's utterly ridiculous. There's no other team that has a bench that is that big. And the
yeah,
only player that played over 20 minutes
he was
was Shea.
really good
Like
last
so
night.
they're going to be fresh.
84% from the field, 85% nearly, like 34
Yeah, he
points.
was.
So good. In game one as well, I know they lost. They did give away like a kind of a 10 or 12 point lead. But as you said, the Nuggets were very, very solid in that game. Aaron Gordon hitting the big shot to win. He seems like he's made for moments like that. Then
Yeah,
Jokic with 42 points, 22 rebounds. Like just what can you even say about that? But like Shea is just chipping away. Like people are kind of
yeah. It's just stupid. Like
almost ignoring just because like in game one they ignored the fact he had 33 points and almost a triple double um with two steals and a block just because Jokic went crazy. But then in game two he showed what he's about. And
mm,
the Thunder really physically defended Jokic. They had hands on him at all times. Chet was pretty good on Aaron Gordon as well, which was a testament to him because he did have a tough game one. So I think the Thunder kind of just made a bit of a mess of the first game because the Nuggets really shocked them. But I think the Thunder will win this in six.
yeah,
They're too deep, as we said. Like you have Isaiah Joe, Casey Wallace, Aaron Wiggins. These are all guys coming off the bench. Jalen Williams, all these guys. Alex Caruso. That's five guys who are actually in their rotation. Like in general,
mm,
they will play minutes, and that's 10 guys in a rotation. Like that's just absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I think they're far too deep. The Nuggets kind of only really have five, six if you're counting Russ slash Michael Porter Jr. being a little bit injured right now. He doesn't look right. I don't think they'll be able to get through this. I think it'll be over in six.
yeah. No, I'm sticking with five. I think
Yeah,
I can't see the Nuggets picking up another one now. I just think they're too strong, they're too deep, they're too well coached, and they probably are going to win it. I know. I picked the Celtics, but I just can't. The more I watch this OKC team, the more impressed I get with them. Every single time I watch them, I get more
yeah,
impressed with them. Shea is a ridiculous basketball player, and he's only been outshone by one of the best ever, in my opinion,
yeah.
in
And
Jokic.
like last
Just a
night,
complete freak, like so.
last night the Celtics
Yeah,
scored
I'm
90
going the
points in
Nuggets
their
in
game,
five.
and the Thunder had 87 points in the first half alone, the
Yeah,
most ever in an NBA playoff game. So that's just
yeah,
absolutely disgusting. It shows what they can do, and
yeah,
when they're humming like they were. Then last up, we won't spend as much time on this one because it's only been one game. But the Warriors are 1-0 up against the Timberwolves. There'll be game two played by the time you're listening to this. It's on late tonight. Um, Game one, main things for me: big Buddy Hield and Draymond game. Props to them. Really, really impressive. But Steph is everything in this. He's injured. They said he could be back for game five with
yeah,
a week out with the injury, but it's a grade one hamstring strain. It's going to be longer than that. I think they're just saying that. I
yeah.
don't think they,
He's
I
done.
don't think they get through with him out. And I don't think, yeah, I don't think he's going to come back for game five if it gets to that point at all. What do you think?
I want to start by talking about Buddy Heels because he left the Christmas card list there again from my with the way he shot against the Rockets. I didn't know he had it in him. To be perfectly honest, I really didn't know he had that in him, and now he's continued that into game one here as well. I think he missed his first eight threes, and I was cursing him because he hit 11 in a row against the Rockets. But after that, after he found his feet, himself, Jimmy, and Draymond,
Yeah,
they really did pull it together. But as you said, Steph is the glue. And
no,
without Steph, there's
I
no
think it
way they're
was
getting past this Timberwolves team, I don't think.
first H
I
because
know
he
game
went
two hasn't
five
been
of eight
played
from
yet.
three, but I think yeah. So, but still, to go from that cold to be
Oh,
like
okay.
roasting hot, it's crazy.
First thing, yeah. Unstoppable. Yeah. I can tell you now that the Timberwolves win game two, just for those who are just going to spoil it for those that haven't watched it yet. The Timberwolves are going to win game two, and they're going to
Yeah,
win
I
game
have them in
three, game
six as
four,
well.
and game six, and they're going
I'm
to
in
do
the
it in
same as you.
six.
I just think Steph being out and the Timberwolves can't keep this up with the 3 point shooting. the worst 2 game stretch I think in playoff history of 3-point shooting. 17.2% in that game. And in game 5 against the Lakers, which they won, 14.9%. Like the Warriors defense was
Yeah.
great, but regardless of how great it is, they don't have enough shooters now without Steph, and they're not going to be able to stop the Timberwolves putting up more points than they did last night, so or 2 nights ago. So yeah, I think it's curtains really for the Warriors
No.
right now, without Steph. So that's kind of unfortunate because you hate things to be ruined by injury. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. We have the same, except for I still believe in the Celtics. You've got the Knicks, so the rest were kind of on the same wavelength for those.
Yeah.
Then let's move on to football. So what we're going to do this is talk about the teams who got promoted and the teams that are in the like playoff, the championship playoffs. So Shane threw out this idea. I thought it was a pretty nice one. Down the teams that we are looking at, really mainly Leeds and Burnley. We know they're already through. They both finished on 100 points, which is madness. And then the playoff teams is Sheffield United. They'll be playing Bristol City.
Hmm.
First leg is tonight, so you guys will know the score of that. Then Sunderland and Coventry is the other one. So do you want to get started with Leeds since they won the championship?
Yeah. What a team. Like for the championship, and they were the best team in the championship last year as well, and kind of fell away towards the end. But they're a really good side. But I think they do need to do something crazy and get rid of Daniel Farke when they're coming up. He's proven himself so many times he can't manage in the Premier League. If they get rid of him with the money that they apparently have to spend, if
Yeah.
they can get in a manager who knows what he's doing in the Premier League, I think they have a really good chance of staying up. There's talk of them having 100 million to spend, and I've kind of just put down. I
Okay.
kind of have a couple of players that I think would be really good signings from. And then we can just talk about them for a minute, but then I'll just go back and speak about Leeds then. But I think bringing in Queven Keller would be unbelievable for him. I hope he gets a better
Yeah.
move than a promoted team. I hope he gets a Bournemouth move or something like that.
Yeah.
But Kelleher to them would make
They
so
can't be
much
going with
sense.
Darlow
They
either.
clearly don't fancy Meunier anymore. And he's just looking for a chance.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, in the Premier League. And Keller has kind of proven himself. I think he'd be cheaper now than he was being quoted last summer. I'd say get him for around 20 to 25 million, maybe even less, maybe 15 to 20 million. And like if they stay up, then he's 26 this summer. Or, no, he's 26 going on 27. So you could get a good 10 years out of him. You can keep us up in the Premier League in or around this, or even sell him on for more profit in 2 years' time if you do go back down. I think they massively need to bring in a centre back as competition to Ampadu and Joe Rodon. Joe Rodan has been found out, another man who, a bit like Daniel Farke now, he needs to be thrown out with the water when they're coming up. And there's a lad playing for Toulouse called Rasmus Nicholson, who is quality. He's running the show there in League One for Toulouse. And I'd say, Joe, a lot of people would jump at the chance to get a go in the Premier League. You get him for in around 10 million, so you're kind of keeping a good bit of good bit of cash back then as well. And bring
Hmm.
him in to kind of shore it up beside Ampadu, who had an incredible
Yeah.
season. Matt Targis at left back because Junior Firpo was
No.
going on a free apparently. He's not playing for Newcastle. Wouldn't be too expensive because they need the money. Get in him, and then I've gone a bit wild. They need a striker because Joel Pirro has only started learned how to score goals in the last 3 weeks, and he's boosted his stats massively over the last couple of weeks. Why not bring in Callum Wilson from Newcastle? Like they're going to be looking for a kind of they're going to be looking for a bit of an
So
upgrade, I
your
think.
100
Newcastle will
million
be.
is
So why
going
wouldn't
like
they get rid of him?
60 on
Um,
Kelleher and then like peanuts on the others.
uh,
Like
no, it's only be 30 million in Kelleher. I don't know.
I thought you were gonna say
I find it quite hard to
Ivan
think of
Tony or
players
something
that
for their striker move to
like
bring him back over or something.
do you know what? That's not a bad shout either. I also think Tyler Morton would be a good signing from, but
Yeah, he's a
that
good
might be
player.
my Liverpool bias. I just
I think
think he's
the main
class.
issue for me with them
Uh,
is
it's
to add to the list of people you just named. I have down here also Darlow, Bogle, Ampadu, but also Nanto, Aronson. I know Manor Solomon is on loan, but then Rodon and Sam Byram. Like all
hmm,
of these guys have tried, and most of them on multiple occasions in the Premier League, and they just haven't been good enough. So it'll be really interesting to see how many of them they
Yeah.
stick with now that they move into this level. But if they have the type of money that you're talking about, like there's no reason why they can't challenge to stay up. I think Tanaka and Gruev in a midfield too coming into the Premier League will be an interesting one to see how that translates. Because that's kind of a new pair, and I think that's something that would be interesting to see if that works, stepping up to the next level. And Perot is one that I definitely made a note of because he was really good at Swansea, like 24 goals in his first season, then 20 goals, and then 16 and 19 in his
Yeah.
last two. As you said, he added more towards the end of the season. I don't know if he'll be good enough to cut it in the Premier League. I don't think he will. And to be honest, I think they'll go back down. I just think the gap is so big right now between the Championship and the Premier League. There's only real one team that I fully think have a good chance of staying up, and we'll come on to them in a minute. But yeah, Leeds just really isn't one of them for me.
I think of those, the lads you mentioned there, of the lads that play behind the striker, the likes of Nanto, Aronson, Solomon. I think the only one that I'd be willing to give kind of the benefit of the doubt to is Nanto. Like he is still very, very young. I think he has all the talent in
Yeah,
the world. He's in the full Italian international. When he was up the first time, he was only 20. His attitude seems a bit stink, to be fair. But I think if they can get a tune out of
yeah,
him, I think I think there is still a really good player in him. Other than that, like Manor Solomon is, he's useless. He really is. He's a good championship player. He's another man that kind of fits in the Cameron Jerome bracket for me. If it's great
yeah,
for the championship, say great for the championship, not good enough for the Premier League, probably should go to the MLS. Is the kind of level that I think he's at. I don't think he's good enough, and I think they have technique. If they can get their rebuilding right, then they'll stay up.
yeah.
But I'm a bit like you. I don't see it this year.
Really?
I think they have a better chance than Burnley, to be perfectly
Okay.
honest, and we will come on to them, as you said. But yeah, but I think the three that come up are going straight back down again,
Yeah,
unfortunately, and it's something we will touch on over the summer, the kind of the gap between the Premier and the Championship. But we
yeah.
won't go too deep into that now. But I think the three that come
So
up go back
let's
down
let's
again.
move on to Burnley then. For me, the reason I think Burnley are gonna
Go
stay
for it,
up,
sorry.
or have the highest chance of staying up because they have kind of a lot of good young talent that's kind of unknown and I think has improved from the last time they were up. And I just think they're much more well drilled. I think than last time they were trying to play football more, and we kind of saw that with kind of I don't know when they were previously up, they just didn't look like they were a team that were going to stay up from the very start. It didn't look right, and it's the same with Southampton this time around. It just doesn't look right,
Yeah.
and it doesn't look like they're a team that are going to stay up whatsoever. And that's exactly what happened. They were one of the worst teams in the league. But I think this time around, Burnley are just really well drilled. They've only conceded 16 goals this season, which is really, really important when you have a good defence. They've got Trafford in goal, Esteve and Egan Riley as their two centre backs. So that's kind of their three goalkeeper, two centre backs. They're all
Mm.
22. I think there's only going to be progress for those guys. I think they will make a nice step up. And I think they do have a good bit of kind of solid options then, when you look at some of the guys that they have in further up the field. Like I think Brownhill was a bit impressive the last time he was in the Premier League. He wasn't like a world beater or anything, but he looked good in flashes, and he's been very good. Their most prolific attacking player this season, even though he's playing in midfield. And then Josh Cullen obviously is up and down like a yo-yo between the
Yeah.
Premier League and Championship, but he like it's good to see him back, and I think that kind of those two guys being closer to 30 years of age with some of the younger guys around them is really important.
But the kind of I do agree with everything you're saying. They are like Trafford, Egan Riley, and Esteve are the three I kind of had earmarked as well to have a word on. Conceding 16 goals in a league as competitive as Championship is utterly ridiculous. It really is. Like it's madness. I can't get my head around how they've done it. The amount of games they're playing Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, and I think they went 12 games without conceding a goal there at one stage as well
Yeah,
when Trafford was asking for JJ Watt to come out of retirement. It's utterly ridiculous. But my problem with them is I don't trust their forward players. Um, I know they were the second highest scorers in the league, but they were still like they scored 69, Leeds scored 95. They're a good bit back from Leeds. Now Leeds also did concede 30 goals, which is
But it's still not bad for
quite a lot more than
46
16,
games, though.
almost double what they conceded. But I think when it comes to the Premier, no, it's not. But I think their problem is that if you're coming up and Josh Brownhill is your most attacking player, he scored 18 league goals, second only to Pirlo. Like if your striker can't score enough goals when your defense is
Yeah,
doing all the work, then I think you're going to be in issues when you come up. I kind of earmarked Josh
yeah,
Sargent from as a signing. I think he's looked really, really good for Norwich this year and deserves another go in the Premiership. But like other than that, like when I was looking at players to sign, I was trying to avoid the three teams going back down because they're all crap. So like you don't want to be really taking Southampton players
yeah.
and trying to stay in the league again when they've already proven that they can't do it. Which is why I found it hard to like recommend players for Leeds, recommend players for Burnley. But
Hmm.
they need a striker that can get 10 goals in the league next season, and that will go a long way if they can keep their
Yeah,
defense as it
yeah,
is. And Jaman Pira, the left back, is really, really good as well, bombing up and down. I think if they can get a striker a bit like at the lap, they can keep their defense as it is. Defense, you know, I was talking about American football soon. Keep their defense as it is. Then I think that they could stay up, but I don't see it either. Unfortunately, I just don't know
yeah.
which of the teams in the Premier League they're going to catch. Like I think West Ham are going to be a completely different proposition next year when
Yeah.
Potter
I'm not
has
sure
a summer under
about
his belt as
which
well.
team would go
So
down, to be honest, in place of them, but I just think that they have the best chance out of the three, I think, in my opinion. But yeah, it's very hard to see any of them staying up the way the last couple of seasons have gone. It's just that thing of going down and coming straight back up always works the best rather than spending a few years away and coming back. It's like restarting all over again. Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's one thing I noted, that the lack of proper striker, something they really need to sort out. So hopefully, like they can make a nice move. I think someone, yeah, like at the lap would really work, or like the way Carlton Morris was when he was with Luton. Like he was good. Like if they got a guy in like that, I like the look of
yeah.
Lyle Foster when he was in the Premier League. Like, but he was a bit erratic. But he couldn't really finish. But he had some good traits. But that's not really come to fruition as much. So it's gonna be, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see what they do. Do you want to move on into the playoffs? I think we'll quickly touch on these. So we have Bristol City against Sheffield United starting tonight. I've just made one note on each of these teams. Really, my note on Bristol City has been that they need to win at home if they're going to have any chance, because if you look at their away form this season, they only had 4 wins all
Yeah.
year, but they had 13 wins at home and 7 draws. They were the fourth best team at home in the league, so they really
Mm.
need to win at home. Plus, they have a lot of Irish lads, which I love to keep an eye on them because of that. So I'm delighted they just made the playoff, but ultimately they're not Premier League level or anywhere near it at the moment. Then Sheffield United are by far the best team in this bunch. They made a mess of it at the end of the season, losing four of five in a row towards the end at the time when Leeds and Burnley just couldn't stop winning. And I hope Tom Cannon steps up for them is kind of my note on that in these playoffs. But yeah, I think it's hard to look past Sheffield United winning that side of things. What do you think out of those two?
Yeah, I think it's only going one way. Like getting 90 points in the championship and finishing third is criminal. Like it shouldn't be happening. So the fact that they are that high a level above the other three that are in this playoffs, and Bristol City just kind of snuck in. Really, they were actually level in points with Blackburn, so they got in on goal difference. Like so, it was very tight there between the sixth down as far as ninth. Really, so they won't. As you said, like they do need to win at home, but I don't see them winning either leg. I think this is going to be
Yeah,
like 4-0
I
or
think
four
so.
one to Sheffield United over the two
And then we've
legs.
got our Sunderland and Coventry. My note on Sunderland is just that they've had a really bad run up to this point in the last like 4 5 weeks. They've lost all their games. They drew the game before that, so it's just not a good run into things. You want to be on the up. Coventry were a bit rocky at times, but I think they're on a better run, and I can see them taking Sunderland down here. To be honest, I think they're probably aiming for next season. Both of these teams probably are, but Sunderland probably fancy their chances more than Coventry. But I think that's kind of why Coventry might knock them down a peg or two, because I think Coventry are probably
Hmm.
in the long term plan. They're probably thinking, okay, we built up nicely into the playoff spots this year. Next year we'll go for automatic promotion, because they've got a solid enough team. But I think Coventry could win out of these two. But what do you think?
I think Coventry are going to win it over the two legs, but neither team is coming into this in sparkling form either. Like Coventry are a win, two losses, and a win in their last four, so they were on a two-game losing streak as well. But London have just fallen apart towards the end of the season. Like if they finish in any season with five losses and then going into a playoff, your momentum is completely down. Joe Bellingham he seems to be kind of just a bit lost at the moment. Whatever's going on with him, he's not really stepping up either. And
Yes.
Coventry, I hate to say it, but Frank Lampard has done an incredible job since he took over there because I thought the way they sacked Mark Robin
Yeah,
was
it worked out.
disgraceful. But clearly it's worked out for him, and
Yeah,
now they're in the
I think
playoffs, and
I
I,
think
I
it'll be
think they'll be
Sheffield
in the
United and
playoff final.
Coventry, and I think in the playoff final it's all up in the air. Anything could happen, but I still just think
Mm.
that the best level of team will come out on top, and I think Sheffield United will. That could honestly go anyway. But I think out of all these teams, I don't think any of them stay up if they get up, unless they really surprise us.
No, yeah, and I'm just so sick of seeing Sheffield United go down and come back up. I would love to
Yeah,
see a French face. I'd love to see Comedy get back up. It's been so long,
just to
or
see it, just to have
Bristol
something
City get their
different. Like,
first crack at it, or like every other team in the playoff bar Sheffield United. Yeah, like Sunderland after 15 years, Coventry after however long, and Bristol for the first time. Not another yo-yo team like Burnley. They're going up and then they're going to do absolutely nothing next year. Get tossed around the place for 38 games, then just go back down again. I just can't. Like, is it any
yeah,
wonder that there's teams going up and coming back down when it's the same teams over and over again? Like, that's another issue that the parachute payments are another issue as to why this gap has gotten so big between the Championship and the Premier League. And I know it sounds
yeah, same
counterintuitive
teams.
because they've been given money, but when you're giving the same people money and they keep messing it up,
Yeah.
it's time to give someone else a bit of money. Like,
Yeah,
I
like you
do
said,
think
I
it'll be
would like
Sheffield
any of
United,
the other
unfortunately,
teams
as well.
instead
Yeah,
of them after how abysmal they were the last time. It was embarrassing. I think, yeah, any of those other teams would be a more interesting story, I think. And I just love to see like Jason Knight captain Bristol City into a championship playoff win. Be
yeah,
unbelievable. But
a playoff
yeah,
final or
hopefully they
even a
get on well.
yeah,
They're the team I'm rooting for the most because of their big Irish contingent. But yeah, that's kind of our take on that.
me as well.
So hopefully for you guys out there that are fans of any of these teams, we're not too big of a downer to say that they're all going back down. But if you're a Burnley fan, I have hope for you. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
But let's move into our Gan Chance predictions then. Last week you had two wins, I believe, and I had one, so the lead is stretched to nine once again.
Yeah.
You're back in clear pole position. I've only a few weeks left to catch this up. Not looking. Let's hear what you've got this week since you're so far ahead that you deserve to be going first.
Fair enough. I just want to start by apologising to Conor Cassidy for putting Leeds in the absolute mud there.
To
I'm
be
sure
fair,
he'll
you were
forgive us
trying your
though.
best to keep
But
positive with it,
going on
but
to
I
Gan
wasn't having it.
Seans, I was trying my best, but then yeah, I couldn't actually continue it anymore there. Yeah, yeah. I've gone, as usual, I've gone two Premier League and one NBA. So I've gone for the Pacers to go 3 up on the Cavs. But yeah, the Pacers 6-5 to beat the Cavs at 13-20. And even 6-5 is a ridiculous price for the Pacers. And then in the Premier League, I've gone Everton at 7-2 to beat Fulham. Everton are they're a bit crap. We all know they're a bit crap, but it's their last game at Goodison Park, and surely it has to mean something. So I think they will beat Fulham this time. Oh, you definitely have Everton to beat Fulham as well. That's why you're laughing at. And
Oh,
finally, I've gone for Ipswich to beat Brentford. The pressure's off. Liam Delap is going to bag a hat trick. Ipswich 4-1, Brentford 8-13. Brentford are literally on the beach now. They beat Nottingham Forest last week, and they're not going anywhere. They're kind of stuck in the middle. Their captain's already come out and said that Brian Bueno was going next
yeah.
season, so clearly their heads
Oh,
aren't in it anymore. So
interesting one because
Ipswich to beat
I was
Brentford.
thinking about Brentford and how they're making a good charge for Europe when I was looking at that one, and I was like, "Ah, no, I can't do it." But fair enough, you've gone with Ipswich there. But yeah, I have gone with Everton to beat Fulham. Um, I've gone with Everton just like this, but like Everton, their last home game at Goodison is the following week. They're away in this one, so. Yeah. But either way, I still
Yeah,
think that they're
yeah, I
probably
just
one of the best
noticed.
bets here because Fulham are kind of on the beach. Um, I know they can still get Europe, but yeah, sometimes Fulham just
Mm.
don't really care. At times it seems like you don't know what you're going to get with them. I think Everton, yeah, they'll. I just think they might have a better chance here. Then my second one is West Ham to beat United. I just think United are just going to be like, yeah, after you just can't trust them in the league. I would hope that United are going to win, but and realistically for me, this is going to be a 1-1 draw or something like that. But I think it's one of the best chances. United are evens, and West Ham are 11-4. So I think we've done a few evens at times, so we'll go with that. That's on Sunday, so I think yeah, give me West Ham at 11-4 on that one. Just because I think United tonight are going to put a lot in and they'll be defending ridiculous in the league, so I'll stick with that. Then my third one, the reason I was laughing so much is because I also went with the Pacers, but I'm going to change that because I need to make a bit of a run at you. So I'm going to go with like my
Oh,
reserve pick that I had in mind, and that is Arsenal to beat Liverpool. Um, the reason I was not going to go with this one is because I think that Liverpool are just going to have a point to prove and they're going to want to smack Arsenal. But I think that I'll just go with that because I don't want to be the exact same as you, and I really need a 5 pointer if I'm going to start making a comeback here. So yeah,
I did actually look at that one as well. I looked at that one as well
I think they are.
because I think Liverpool might be on the beach. To be
Yeah,
perfectly honest with you, they looked on the beach against Chelsea last week, so I did look at that. But it is Arsenal, and I hope Liverpool hate Arsenal and Arteta as
yeah,
much as I hate
especially after
Arsenal
he
and
said
Arteta and
about
go out and prove a
how many
point.
points they had in the last 2 seasons and they would have won the league. Just come on, just leave it. So like you didn't win the league. Can you just stop?
Except he was wrong. He was wrong. They had less points after 34 games than we have after 34 games. They had 80,
And
80 and
then
82
he
or
said
something.
in after
So
the
he was wrong
Champions
as well. He's a
League game
clown.
Against Ipswich here, you have Ipswich on my mind. Against PSG, he said
Oh, yeah,
that the other bench told him that they were the better team, and and then Luis Enrique was like, "No, that never happened. Like, why are you saying this stuff? Just it's just outrageous." But anyway,
yeah,
despite all of that, I think that could go one way. Liverpool might go out and say I'm going to batter them, but I'm taking the chance that Liverpool are just chilling and that Arsenal are going to be like really angry and going to take this as their Champions League final.
fair enough.
So I think Liverpool are evens in that one, and Arsenal are like 13-5 or something like that. So those are my three. We have one the same, so I'm not going to go two the same again because I do need to make up points. But
Yeah. If
yeah,
United lose and Spurs win, that United are 17th.
I'm fully aware of
United
that.
drop to
Yes.
17th. That's utterly
Yeah,
criminal for a team like Manchester United. Now it's criminal that
yeah,
they're
it is
15th and Spurs are 16th and they're going to Europa League final. But if United finished this weekend 17th, wow. Like you actually just need to get rid of every single one of the players and just start the club like it's one of those
expansion.
prevention teams or whatever the word is in the
Yeah,
MLS where the team
yeah,
just get dropped in and they get a fancy draft expansion. Yeah, like
yeah.
you need to start them like an expansion team then because United at 17th.
It's
I would
just the
love it
only thing
obviously,
that's
but
keeping
it's
me from looking at
it's
that is the
just
fact that they're
ridiculous.
going towards the Europa final, and just I'm just trying to block it out. But every weekend it's just crippling.
Yeah,
But let's move on then to the
yeah,
NFL. Obviously, the draft just happened. We touched a lot on the draft. We'll touch more on it um, during the summer. We'll keep this one nice and quick for you 'cause it's kind of a fun one. We're going to give three options who are kind of like sneaky fantasy options at quarterback,
mm.
running back, and wide receiver. So just like not the guys who are very top of the board or guys who you would typically say, yeah, I'm going to draft them first overall. Some guys a little bit further down that we think might do well. So do you want to go first with quarterback and tell us what you've got?
Yeah. So I just want to start by saying
Okay,
that every one of my picks are hear
here we
me
go.
out. They are those kind of players. So my quarterback, I've gone with Justin Fields. I know in real life, he is quite clearly a liability. He's shown so often he's a liability, but in fantasy, he's really, really solid. He's a good runner of the ball. He can throw touchdowns. He averages 50 yards running a game. That's 5 points if you're playing, PPR. That's
Zero.
5 points on top of every touchdown he throws. We won't talk about interceptions because so the 50 rushing yards in a game is the fourth best in the NFL for a quarterback. And I think having a quarterback that runs that isn't Lamar Jackson because he's obviously going to go a lot higher. So getting in a Justin Fields or someone like that, I think is a good sneaky option, especially in a two quarterback league. And if he can find Garrett Wilson the way that Garrett Wilson thinks he should be found, then you could be in for a real
Yeah,
big
no,
one
I
from
I
Justin Fields
actually
this
like
year.
that. I had him like on my long list. I made a list of like a couple of honorable mentions, and throughout I made an extra two at each position. But he was my one of them just because of what you said. The fact he's like a sneaky good runner, and he'll get in for a number of touchdowns, I'd say, this season. So yeah, I think it's not a bad shout. But my one is
Hmm.
Geno Smith.
Yeah,
I think he's kind of one if you don't draft a quarterback high and you want to get one later in the rounds, he might be one of the most reliable options. I think he's just going to throw like an arseload of touchdowns to Bowers, and he'll just fire balls to Bowers and he'll catch them. I think Genty will
yeah,
just keep driving them down the field, and then Gino will just pop up with the old touchdown to Bowers or to Jacoby Myers or something like that. So I think he'll get a lot of yards, and I like him under Pete Carroll. So I think he last year he was QB 14 in terms of where he ranked. This year he's ranked QB 26 in terms of what people are thinking. So it's not great. I think he should be higher than that.
oof,
And in terms of Fields, last year he was QB 31. That's because he barely played any
yeah.
games. But people have him QB 12 this year, so pretty high. So let's go for wide receiver then. I'll go first with this
Okay.
one.
Just before you go on there, I
Yeah.
just want to defensively wearing. Like when I saw Geno Smith was going to Las Vegas, I was sick and we weren't in
Oh
kind of a
yeah.
keeper league because I would have loved to have kept Brock Bowers as one of my five because Geno Smith is going to find him like there's no tomorrow. Like Brock Bowers had such a good rookie
Yeah.
season. That was without a decent quarterback. Imagine what he's going to do
Yeah.
when he has someone that actually knows how to find him with the ball.
Yeah,
So
he's
yeah,
gonna be
I
one of
think
the
that's a good
first,
show from you.
probably the first tight end off the board, I'd say, in everybody's drafts this year. So we'll be keeping an eye out for him.
Oh,
But
100%, yeah.
for wide receivers, then what I've gone with is I've made a bit of a list here, but I'm gonna go with my guy. I'm gonna go with Malik Neighbors. I think it's not a hugely outside of the box pick. He should go early enough, but I think he could go even earlier than where
Mm,
he's being ranked. So he's currently ranked wide receiver 8. Last year he was wide receiver 6 in his rookie season. He was so good. He had woeful quarterback play last year, and he still had 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's only going to get better, although it is a bit of a messy situation. But realistically, he only has to play like 2 games with Jameis Winston. There's like 500 yards and 8 touchdowns for you straight away to neighbors. But I think Russell will go deep to him a
yeah.
lot as well, and I think yeah, I think it's a solid option. Someone who might be one of maybe my top 3 wide receivers to look at this. What about you?
I'd be very surprised for start if Neighbours does drop that far because I think he showed enough in his rookie year that people should be picking him up. But the fact that he's dropped in his
No,
ranking from 12 to
he's
14 shocked
ranked
me because
eighth.
I thought if Anthony be going
But
up.
last year he finished
Um,
sixth in terms of production.
okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, that makes sense. So I think I think he's quality. And I think I think it's good to bring him up. Another of my hear me out shouts.
Lord.
Rashid Shaheed. So yeah, I was kind of scraping bottom of the barrel with these. To be perfectly honest with you, I thought that was the way we were going, so I'm happy enough to continue with this. So the way he started last year, if he can get that going again this year, then he is a really like he's someone that will be definitely sitting on a waiver wire after the first 2 weeks, and you'll see he scored 5 touchdowns and gotten 300 yards out of nowhere, and you'll be like, oh, let's pick him up, and then he gets injured, just like he did the season just gone. But he was averaging 17 and a half yards a catch last year before he went down after week 6 with the meniscus. And I know he's a bit of a wait. Sorry, yeah, I can be there. Yeah, he was ranked 29th when he went down. If he can kind of get back to any sort of a level, then he, as I said, he'll be on the waiver wire. Someone could need someone to cover a gap week, bye week, and then in he comes, and you might be able to drop him down because if he's playing, he's going to be at least a wide receiver too,
He's
and
good for
he'll get
he's good for
plenty
a deep
touches as
ball as
well.
well.
And
It all just
I'm
depends
just
who's
hoping
going
for
to
the
throw him the
best.
ball. Like, is
Yeah,
Derek
he
Carr
is.
going to
Like
be
it's
happy there or not? Yeah, I think he
Exactly.
is a
Yeah.
good one to have like a bench guy if you're going for
Mm,
like a wild card kind of player that you can bring on, especially if your league is like a 12 person league or like 14-person league. He's definitely worth a pickup. So no, I like that shout.
yeah.
Then for running back, who have you got as your pick?
I finally gotten one
No, I
that
like
isn't
that.
really hearing me out. I've gone for Jordan Mason. So he's gotten his move from San Fran to Minnesota. And when he was at San Fran last year, he was our lead back for the first 7 weeks. He was 18.3 carry the game, 95 yards, 0.4 rushing a touchdown per game. I don't know how to work that out into real person figure. And then he was 5 yards per carry. Only nine running backs scored more points per game on him over that span. And this was him kind of coming
Yeah.
in, was his first real go at being a starter. And I think he's going to go into Minnesota. Aaron Jones, I think by the end of the season, even halfway through the season, he'll be wide receiver one over Aaron Jones because he's not really standing the test of time as much as he'd like to think he is. And I think he's going to take a step
No, I
back,
really
and
like that,
Jordan
and I really
Mason's going to
liked when
take a
the
big step
Vikings
up
did
this
that
year.
because I think like he was very solid and he looked very good for them, and I think it's kind of a thing where he probably want to be paid for the fact that he played well. They obviously still back McCaffrey, and they
Yeah.
couldn't pay everybody right now because they're in a tough situation in terms of that side of things. So I think yeah, I don't see any issue with that because I think he could be a very solid option and get him early quite low in the draft maybe and then stow him away, and as you said, as Aaron Jones kind of
Yeah.
weathers throughout the season, the Vikings probably will use him more. Yeah, yeah. No, I like that shout.
Which you
Then
will.
my one
Yeah.
here is Tyrone Tracy. So I've gone again with a Giants player, but I think he was really good last year. I had that duo last year of Tracy and Neighbors because I drafted them. I have to say I had a good bit of confidence in them. I looked at a lot of them over the summer and I thought, yeah,
Hmm.
they'll be good, which they were. Again, in a very lackluster Giants offense with an awful offensive line, he had nearly 1.2 thousand 1,200 total yards. That's looking at both. Russia had I think like 5 or 6 touchdowns. So like in overall he was very good. I think they'll have a more mature offense this time around. He's very good out of the backfield catching the ball, so I think that'll be a good option if Russell Wilson looks to use him that way. If Jackson Dart does get in, he'll be looking for checkdowns to make his life easier. And then you do have Cam Scadabo there as like another back, so he's
Hmm.
there to kind of wear defenses down, and you might break off a big run from Tracy from time to time. So he's looking running back 31 at the moment, and last year he finished running back 26 in his rookie season. So I
Oh,
think he's only going to step up from there. So I get the people probably maybe one worrying about the fact that
yeah.
there's two running backs there now, but I still think he'll be the lead back, and he'll really produce for them. So that was my pick. Um, yeah, honorable mentions I had then kind of I also mentioned Justin Fields as I said. Another one I had was Devonte Adams. I think he still has a lot in him, and if he's in a better attitude, I think he could be a good
Yeah.
wide receiver to pick up. And then my honorable mention from running back was Kyron Williams. I think he could be one of the best running backs to pick up. He is ranked running back 11. He was running back 7 last year. He could be top 5 to be honest in that offense if people are looking at Puka and Devontae as the main options. He could get a bit more space, and
Yeah.
he's just a touchdown machine. 16 and 16 games last year. So yeah, those are some of the mentions I had. But yeah, just a little fun exercise.
Yeah, I just put down three. Yeah, I just had three names as well that I wanted to, in case you would take one of mine. I just kind of put one backup as well. So I think JJ McCarthy, I think, is going to go very low and could have a very, very solid year with Minnesota. I didn't really do too much on him. I think Braylon Allen, there's talks of the Jets going into a kind of a two-back situation, a bit like what they've been doing in Detroit. I think if it goes that way,
Yeah.
he looked really, really decent at times at the start of last year. I think if you are struggling again, as you said, in a 10 or a 12-person league, if you are looking for a running back that's kind of just going to get you solid numbers, he might be the one. And I'm so
Hmm.
excited to watch Cooper Cup be a wide receiver one again. I think he's going to drop on many boards because people probably won't trust him, but I think it'd be silly if we overlook him for someone like
Yeah,
Raheem
I think
Shaheen. Raheem
I think it's
Shaheen.
worth going with Cup just to, at least to see if he does slip. He wouldn't be want to be putting one of my top picks on, but if he slips down, I think it's worth grabbing him. And I think to touch on a two back situation, like looking at the lines, I think Jameer Gibbs was running back one last year, and I think he's going to be running back one again, but by an even bigger stretch this year because they're just going to use Montgomery
Yeah,
less and less. Because Gibbs can do absolutely everything, and when it was just him, he was just a destroyer. So they're just going to use him more.
everything.
But yeah, that's a few options for you there if you're looking to already start planning for your NFL fantasy drafts, and we'll have a lot more on that leading up closer to the season. But moving then into our last topic, as usual, we've got the power rankings. So do you wanna let me go ahead first? Lovely. So
Yeah, absolutely. I went first
last
last
week
week.
I've gone with Liverpool, OKC, the Cavs, Arsenal, Timberwolves, and Wolverhampton Wanderers. So this week I've changed it up a good bit. Um, um, I've moved OKC back to first. I know they lost their first game against the Nuggets, but they absolutely battered them in the second game. Just outrageous how well they played against them last night. So that pushed them up for me to first place. Liverpool are in second. Obviously, they just won the league, and they are in kind of on the beach. I suppose last week it seemed they might come back off the beach to whoop Arsenal this weekend. We'll see how that goes, but
Yeah,
that's still what I think so far. Then I've gone with the Knicks in third. Just what they did against the Celtics, coming back from 20 points down twice. You deserve to be in third. So that's why I've gone with them in third. Then looking at Man City, I thought they have to go into fourth at this point. Like they're in the FA Cup final, they're unbeaten in 9 games. They might take second place off Arsenal in one of their worst seasons that we can remember in a long time. They're still they've come good towards the end. Then
yeah.
Pacers in fifth, I think, leading the Cavs 2-0, the best team in the Eastern Conference in the regular season, and they're making it look kind of light, what they've done against them. So I think, yeah, I know that the Cavs are down players, but they've just been really impressive, the Pacers. And then Chelsea are in sixth. So from March to now, they only lost once to Arsenal. So I think they deserve to be in the top six at the moment. They're on a really good run and they're pushing well and truly into that Champions League spot as well as their Conference League push.
Fair enough. I can't really complain too much. I think ours are quite similar, to be honest, but I'll give you my last week run through first. So last week I had Liverpool at the one, Thunder in two, Wolverhampton Wanderers three, the Timberwolves four, Celtics five, and Palace were sixth. I've also made it this week. So I still have Liverpool at one. I'm not sure. There's not really much to say. There are league champions. I'm not really going to move them until I really have to. I have the Knicks in it too. Just because they are really, really on fire at the moment. They're 2-0 up in their series. I have Man City have come in for me at three. Four wins on the bounce, FA Cup final, as you said, everything you've said. Pacers at four, again, everything you've said. There's no real need to go into it again. I have OKC at five. As you said, they lost the first, but what they did last night was just silly season. And I know they dropped a good bit for me from last week, but I still think they're quality outfits. And in sixth, I have Wolverhampton Wanderers still. They lost last week to Man City, but they're still, they were on the best run of form in Europe. You can't just drop out of a top six because you lose one game. So Liverpool, Knicks, Man
Yeah,
City,
no, can't
Pacers,
can't complain
OKC,
about
and
that.
Wolves.
Fairly as we've got in there. Obviously, the only difference then is you've still got Wolves and I've got Chelsea. I think I just had Wolves sixth last week, so I think you had them higher. So I think
Yeah,
dropping from six to out for me didn't feel too bad. But I think if I had them higher, yeah, it would be. It's hard to just completely remove them.
no, it's, yeah,
No,
hard
I,
to take
I
them
liked
out.
both of our rankings. That's another episode in the books, lads. Hope you enjoyed it and hope you enjoy having the kind of more up to date information as soon as it comes out. And we'll continue to do with this to have the most up to date stuff for you. But appreciate you listening and give us a like or subscribe or follow us wherever you can. And obviously look at our social media clips too because we appreciate that. Shane, see you lads.
Thanks very much, lads. See you next week.